For 1,000 days, Xiaojing's routine was identical. He quit his job to turn, wash, and catheterize his vegetative father. During that entire 3-year stretch, his older brother visited exactly 4 times, and his sister 3, usually complaining about the smell of disinfectant before leaving minutes later. When the father woke up, his assets were divided. The absentee brother secured a villa and 1.5 million yuan. The sister got a luxury SUV and 3 million yuan. But for 3 years of medical care, Xiaojing's inheritance was a cracked wooden chessboard. The siblings immediately capitalized on this imbalance. At a family banquet, they openly mocked the board, suggesting Xiaojing use it for firewood. Shortly after, that same nephew orchestrated a viral social media post, framing Xiaojing as an incompetent freeloader who only pretended to care for the old man to secure a payout. The public mockery and the smear campaign served a specific purpose. By branding Xiaojing as an unfilial fraud, the siblings retroactively justified their claim to the estate, attempting to erase his 3-year sacrifice from the public record. Months passed. Rent hikes threatened eviction. He lived off cheap instant noodles, completely alienated from his own family. With nowhere else to turn, he took the cracked board to a professional appraisal center. The appraiser identified the object immediately. The cheap bamboo veneer was a disguise added decades ago to hide a solid rosewood masterpiece crafted by Republic of China artisan Gu Chengzhou. A conservative auction estimate placed its value at 80 million yuan. An 80 million yuan valuation is more than 15 times the combined worth of the brothers' villa and the sisters' Land Rover. In an instant, the object of their mockery became the family's most significant asset. News of the appraisal leaked online. Within hours, the brother and sister arrived at Xiaojing's apartment. Their stance shifted immediately from mockery to demanding an equal 3-way split, arguing their father must have been mentally compromised to give away such a valuable heirloom to one person. Their father, however, had spent those 3 years fully aware. He was locked in, able to hear the siblings discussing the transfer of his villa, while he was still paralyzed and feeling Xiaojing testing the temperature of the washcloth on his own hand every single night. The father knew Xiaojing was the only child who wouldn't immediately sell the board for scrap, and he waited until he regained his speech to ensure the gift was finalized. The siblings operated under the assumption that the man in the bed couldn't witness their greed. Their careless words, spoken over a father they thought was a corpse, provided the evidence he needed to structure their inheritance as a trap. Despite this revelation, the siblings felt secure. The deeds to the villa were signed, and the millions in cash had cleared the bank. They believed physical possession made them legally untouchable. The father had his lawyer structure the inheritance as a gift with obligations, legally tying the deeds and cash to mandatory duties. But the siblings ignored the contract, refusing to pay for rehabilitation or attend medical checkups. The father's lawyer delivered a formal 30-day notice. If the siblings did not pay the back-due medical fees and vacate the promised room, the father would petition the court to revoke the gifts entirely, returning the villa and cash to the estate. When family loyalty failed, the father turned to the only mechanism the siblings respected, a binding legal contract. He forced them to choose between fulfilling their filial duties or losing their unearned wealth. Xiaojing used his new financial position to move from a passive victim to an active combatant. He hired a legal team to systematically dismantle the public attacks his siblings had funded. The retaliation was surgical. His lawyers forced local media outlets to issue retractions for the smear campaign, and the nephew was cornered into a public confession. He had to admit he fabricated the unfilial son narrative, pinning the apology to the top of his profile for all his followers to see. Clearing a name requires the aggressive application of the law. By forcing a public correction, Xiaojing ensured that the consequences for the siblings' lies were just as visible as the original smear campaign. The climax occurred at the auction house, where the Gu Chengzhou masterpiece shattered its initial estimates. The gavel finally dropped at 98 million yuan. Xiaojing used the proceeds to fund his father's full rehabilitation and open his own photography studio. The siblings, desperate to keep their villa and cars, were reduced to performing the very caregiving duties they once mocked. They are now legally bound to provide the care they previously refused. Closure arrives as a matter of public record. Undeniable evidence and binding legal leverage have permanently stripped the siblings of their power, replacing family sentiment with the cold reality of a court-enforced contract.